Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I have my June book haul. The first book that we acquired in June was The Lost Time Accidents by John Ray. This book follows a man called Waldy who finds himself exiled from time and then proceeds to chronicle the major events of the 20th century. On the back it mentions that it's a bit similar in style to Murakami, who I have yet to read, and it was blurbed by Marlon James as well. John Ray is one of Grant's best young American novelists, and I purchased this book because it did seem like something that I would enjoy. It seemed to have that idea of being, as it says, being removed from time, and I did receive a NetGalley copy months ago that I still haven't reviewed, so hopefully it's quite good and warrants me purchasing the book. The next book I received was Vinegar Girl by Anne Tyler. Now, I now own 3 of Anne Tyler's books. I have A Spool of Blue Thread, this other book that I think it's called The Beginner's Goodbye, and now I own Vinegar Girl, which is part of the Hogarth Shakespeare series, and this one in particular focuses on the taming of the shrew. Basically, this woman called Kate Batista and some science stuff in the blurb. I don't really know what it's about. Again, I pre-ordered this copy as soon as I received the NetGalley edition. Still haven't read the NetGalley edition because I am a terrible human being. But hopefully it's good. Everyone likes a bit of comedy. It's quite short, so we'll see. The next book I have is The Natural Way of Things by Charlotte Wood. This book seems mildly dystopian, or maybe it's not. It follows 2 women who are awakened from a drug sleep and are then put to work in what I imagine is meant to be a bit slave labourish. I have seen the book on a few people's channels, then went and bought it. I'm hoping that it's good. I'm hoping that it focuses on themes that I like to read about, and we shall see. The cover's brilliant in any case. The next books I received are the Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. I purchased these because I am taking part in the Hob-along started by Sam over at Sam's Nonsense. I finished reading the Farseer trilogy at the end of last month, well, at the end of June, and it was an incredible trilogy to read. The first book is Ship of Magic, which I am currently reading, The Mad Ship, and Ship of Destiny. These books seem to be in a completely different league to the Farseer books. Whereas the Farseer books are a bit more slow going and difficult to get into, Live Ship Traders trilogy begins in a way that you are immediately pulled into the world. It is a multiple viewpoint book and focuses on all these different trading families within the same world as the Farseer trilogy, but it seems a lot more corrupt after the events of the Farseer trilogy. I know someone who has only read the Live Ship Traders books, so I imagine that you can go into reading these without having read the Farseer trilogy. And personally, really enjoying the first book so far. It's a ship about to go into Quickening, which means that it, I believe, will then come to life. I might be wrong. And it's about to go through this Quickening with this 3rd family member dying aboard its decks, but this is going to throw their family into turmoil, and as I previously said, the whole world seems to be in turmoil at this point. It is a brilliant story and seems to be focusing on a different subgenre of fantasy than the Farseer trilogy focused on, whereas the Farseer trilogy was much more focused on real world aspects. This one seems to have much more of a magical tone. The next book I purchased was Death and Mr Pickwick by Stephen Jarvis. Stephen Jarvis commented on my blog last year and mentioned that he had this book coming out, and I always intended to buy it, but it is quite a hefty tome, so I wanted to wait until the paperback edition came out. It seems to follow a conspiracy surrounding the Pickwick Papers. Did Charles Dickens really write the Pickwick Papers? Charles Dickens is not the creator of the Pickwick Club. The Pickwick Club begins because of the illustrator Robert Seymour, who goes by the name of Boz. Now, I read the Pickwick Papers last year, and I wanted to read that book before I read this book, and I listened to it on audiobook, and it is by far one of the most hilarious, fantastic novels I've ever read. It's going to be interesting to read about this conspiracy that I do believe that Stephen Jarvis spent 10 years researching the novel. I've only heard good things about it, so I'm hoping to enjoy it. I don't know when I'll get around to reading it, but yes, I'm glad to finally own it. Okay, the next book is another one of the family saga type books that I was talking about, and that is Homegoing by Yagi. Probably butchered the name, and I'm very sorry. There was a video telling me how to say it and I lost it. Homegoing follows two sisters in two separate villages in Ghana and then chronicles the life of them and their descendants. One sister is married off to an Englishman and begins to live quite wealthy, and the other sister, unbeknown to her, is in the dungeons and sold off to slavery. And from there it shows these different tracks of their lives and the different way things have gone for them, for their families. And I've again heard nothing but good things about this book. I saw it mentioned on quite a few blogs and I've seen a few people review it on YouTube, but I'm hoping that it's going to be a very challenging, very important book to read. And then we have another book that seems to follow a similar idea, and that is Barkskins by Annie Proulx, and this again follows two characters who both end up in America as woodcutters. One of them ends up quite wealthy, the other one ends up a bit unfortunate. It follows 300 years, and the book is over 700 pages, but it will be interesting to see how the books differ. Obviously, the two writers come from incredibly different backgrounds as well. They're writing completely different subjects. I then took part in a signing with a few other authors in Macclesfield for the Barnaby Festival, and I bought two books by two of the writers there. The first being Freedom by Johnston J. McGuckian, and not gonna lie, did go to school with Johnston. I was supposed to help Johnston with the editing of this novel last year, but I ended up going off to Rome when he sent it to me and he wanted the book out, so it didn't really work out. But Freedom follows, and basically, if you're a fan of Doctor Who or The Prisoner, those types of British science fiction dramas, then I believe that you should be a fan of Freedom. I haven't read it yet, but the themes and ideas seem quite similar. There is some strange kind of dark mystery surrounding this island that is filled with young partygoers. So the next book is A Small Betrayal by David M. Wynne. Now, I hadn't actually met David before, but he was part of the mailing list for the writers group I'm the secretary for. And A Small Betrayal follows he offers a ride to someone, basically, discovers that her uncle believes he has developed this unique formula, and then he goes missing, and it's a mystery novel. It's hopefully going to be good. And finally, we have one of my most anticipated reads of this year, The Muse by Jessie Burton. I completely loved The Miniaturist. The Miniaturist was one of the books I looked forward to most in 2014. It was the book that I pre-ordered and I followed the author's journey from there. Still haven't managed to get to a signing or any of the events, but there are that many talks online at the moment. Jessie Burton did an interview on BBC Breakfast yesterday that I missed because I was at work. I haven't listened to it on the book at bedtime on BBC 4 like I did with The Miniaturist, but we should again. I'm really looking forward to this book. She gets very brilliant covers, does Miss Burton. Be a bit of a time slip novel, and it comes with the tagline, "A picture hides 1,000 words." And it follows this character of Odell, who arrived from Trinidad 5 years ago and has been a typist, and she now ends up she meets this woman called Marjorie Quick, and then it references a story about a lost masterpiece and going back to 1936 with this other character of Olive. It's a time slip novel, there is a mystery. Jessie Burton is a phenomenal writer, and undoubtedly it is going to be one of my favourite books of this year, just as The Miniaturist was last year. If anyone has read any of these books or wants to discuss these books, do so in the comments below. It would be great to hear from you. And until next time, that is all.